full membership in the alliance. Polls in both countries show citizens are increasingly in favor of such a move. Finland is expected to make a decision in coming weeks, and Sweden's ruling party has started to debate the matter internally. For its part, Russia on Thursday threatened to surround its neighbors with naval forces, nuclear weapons, and more if they accede to the Western alliance. Carl Bildt was Sweden's prime minister from 1991 to 1994, and he was foreign minister during Russia's last invasion of Ukraine. Carl, welcome on the program again. Let me ask you, is this for real? Because we have heard about these kind of talks before, but is it your sense that in all likelihood Finland and Sweden will in fact apply for NATO membership?
Yes, it is for real. February 24 changed the security situation in Europe in a fairly profound way. And that has led to very sort of deep reconsideration in primarily Finland. It started in Finland, to be quite honest. I mean, the Finns have security in their DNA in another way than Swedes have, and now in Sweden. And you will see a process in both of the countries during the next few weeks that will lead to a formal application before the NATO summit in Madrid at the end of June. That's for certain, I would say.
Finland is, as you say, the most, it's the most exposed. It's in some ways the most unlikely because Finland has maintained neutrality. Even during the height of the Cold War. I mean, they fought a bloody war with the Soviet Union during World War II, maintained their independence even though they lost, I don't know, 10, 15% of their territory. What do you think? What is it about the situation now that has so transformed Finland's views?
That is fairly obvious that we have a regime in the Kremlin in Moscow that behaves in ways that are sort of very different from what we had first hoped for, but then also anticipated. The fact that they've gone for full-scale invasion, really full-scale invasion, against a neighbor with the explicit purpose of more or less getting rid of that neighbor. That's sort of slightly upsetting, to put it very mildly. And that has led the security elites of Finland, and they have such, to reconsider the NATO option. They've had a NATO option for a long time, but now they're reconsidering it. And that has led also to the same discussion in Sweden. And I think both processes are very firmly moving in the same direction. It is a sea change, needless to say, but it will come.
And you've been on all sides of these kinds of things. So give us a sense of how do you think NATO will react, and will Russia's threats matter?
There will be Russian threats. We already saw it the other day when Dmitry Medvedev said that they're going to move nuclear weapons close to our country. As a matter of fact, that's already done. I mean, they have nuclear weapons in the Kaliningrad area and missiles that can hit us. They've been deployed there since years. They have up on the Kola Peninsula, that's close to the border of Norway and Finland, probably the greatest concentration of nuclear weapons anywhere in the world. So what he's threatened with has actually already happened. So I don't think that will have any impact. As for NATO, that's for the NATO countries to decide. There are 30 of them that have to say yes, United States being the most important, but not the only one. But I think the indication so far, and I think rightly so, is that NATO will see this as strengthening the security and the democratic credentials of NATO in a period when NATO will be more needed than ever for the security of Europe.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, but what this could do is orient Europe and give Europe a strategic orientation so that European countries realize that when they spend money on defense, it's not just make-work programs or for kind of notional territorial defense, you know, who's going to attack Belgium, but really to secure the eastern border of Europe, the Baltic countries that have been so far thought difficult to defend. Now, if the entire orientation is to forward deploy east, you have a Europe that actually becomes more secure, correct?
I think that will be the case, and as you indicate, this is part of a wider pattern of changes that we'll see. We see increases in defence spending. Sweden, Denmark, to take that in Northern Europe, now moved up to 2%, or moving up to 2%, where the others already are. You'll see Denmark having a referendum to lift some of the restrictions on EU security cooperation they have had. You'll see a stronger NATO. I think you'll see also a stronger EU on security issues. NATO being the military alliance for territorial defence. EU having a somewhat broader array of instruments, being a security alliance. I think we'll see NATO and EU working more closely together. I think we'll see a more balanced relationship across the Atlantic. So with all of the tragedy and all of the challenges that we face, with a more dangerous Russia in the years ahead, I think we might see a strengthening of our West in Europe as a result of this, apart from the fact that I think it's necessary.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you one question, which is the one place where there does seem to be a, I don't know if a weak link is the right way to describe it, but there seems to be some problem, is Germany. The Germans tried to send their president, Steinmeier, to Ukraine. The Ukrainians, I think somewhat foolishly, rejected that offer. Now the Germans seem to be upset. Chancellor Scholz has publicly criticized the Ukrainians. Is there a danger that the Germans will not follow through on what seemed like a very robust transformation in German foreign policy?
I agree with you. I think it was foolish of the Ukrainians. I've been working together with Frank-Walter Steinmeier when we were foreign ministers, and we might have some sort of divergences. You always have that, discussing different issues. But at the end of the day, he's always been a robust supporter of our approach on Russia and support to Ukraine. So I think it was somewhat unfair. I hope they will repair that particular damage. The change in Germany is very big. No doubt about that. And big changes don't happen in 1 week. It takes time to digest what has been happening. But I do see this change coming in German policy. It's not going to be sort of radical one day from another, but it's coming. It is very substantial increases in defense spending that are coming there. And clearly getting rid of Russian gas, it's going to take some time. It's a very big thing. Nord Stream and all of that is distinct history. So while some would like to see all of the change come in a week's time, I think it's going to take somewhat longer time, but it will come. And what Germany does now is, of course, going to be very important for the overall stance, both of NATO and of the European Union.
Carl Bildt, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you.